G'day, I'm Charles Mackenzie coming to you from a masked Sydney in the middle of our summer. Public health officials have told us that we have to wear masks indoors in the middle of summer to stop the spread of COVID-19. And I feel utterly violated wearing this, violated by public health officials pretending to care, pretending to be serious about tracing viruses. I think there's about 5 people in New South Wales who've got COVID-19. Perhaps there's more. But certainly there's nothing like the amount of contaminated blood victims that we've got, who the government and public health officials do nothing to trace. Absolutely nothing. In the decades since the contaminated blood scandal first started, there are thousands of Australians who were infected with HIV and hepatitis C. For those with hepatitis C, they weren't warned. They weren't even told that they had it. You know, like the blood products company CSL infected 1,750 Australians with the blood clotting disorder haemophilia with hepatitis C. Didn't even warn them. Knew that it had happened. Knew that 100% of people who used their product had been infected, but didn't warn the public. And so here we are, pretending that they care. They don't care. And this is actually, what you're watching is actually the most important video, will be the most important video I've ever done. And the reason for that is because I'm going to tell you very briefly about something that we've just found. Last year, myself and a research partner were made aware of a lead, and that lead might be new evidence. And so we followed that lead, like we've done with so many, hundreds of other times over the decades, and nothing could have prepared us for what we found. When we found the evidence of what went on in the 1980s here in Australia with our blood supply, I saw the evidence and then was completely surprised by something that happened. I felt extremely weak. I felt all the energy, all the strength drained from my body. And I actually had to be helped to a car. I hadn't been drinking. I'm a teetotaler. It was midday as well. But what it was I just couldn't believe what we'd found. The Australian government used to encourage blood from prisoners, from people in jail, and from people that they knew to be 8 times higher of having a risk of something like hepatitis C. And they used to encourage them to donate blood. And the type of people that they collected blood from, you wouldn't believe it. The type of risks that they took. When you see this, you would not believe. And I realised at that moment that so many people, friends of mine, hundreds of people that have died here from our group, that their deaths were not quite the accident that they were made out to be. And in fact, in many cases, it looks to be that their deaths were the result of criminal negligence. That's right. I'm going to go and say something I've never said before, ever. And I haven't said that for decades. I have seen evidence that shows me that people were killed by criminal negligence. And it has not been investigated for that reason, because it's the Australian government who are behind it. It's the Australian Red Cross who are behind it, and it's blood products manufacturer CSL who are behind it. So they're a very big trio, and they're not going to give up any ground, and they're not going to tell us the truth. And they haven't told us the truth for decades, and it's because they're part of this criminal activity. So we've got members dying right now with liver cancer. And as a group, we're on our last legs. Many of us who are the original victims, we're in bad shape. And as I say, we've lost hundreds of victims from our group. We don't get any help. The ABC won't do any investigations as to what happened. The British, they had a contaminated blood scandal. You may be aware of that. They get financial assistance and have done since 2003. Australia, we had the same scandal. We get no assistance. The reason we get no assistance was because a 2004 Senate inquiry said that everything happened here happened with best science advice, even though it infected thousands with deadly viruses. So we went looking at this new evidence to test the theory that everything happened was a result of best science advice. And what we found is the most shocking evidence ever found in Australian history to do with healthcare. Yep, that's right. The Australian government have murdered people here in Australia, and they've murdered children. And we've got that evidence, and we're going to be bringing it forward. And we'd like to just take this moment to say to our allies overseas, particularly our British allies, please, please, please take this moment to show your support and back Australia. back haemophiliacs in Australia, back haemophilia families in Australia, back contaminated blood families in Australia, back transfusion victims in Australia. We need your support now more than ever, because what's happened down here, we are the victims of crime. You know that we are, so please help us now so that we can join you and get some much needed assistance. Thank you.